The video has finally came. I'm gonna do a quick review, hopefully it's gonna be quick, a quick review on the digital cluster I installed on my Audi A4 B8. A lot of people has asked for an update about it, and let me tell you, it's got a lot of cons. I mean, like, I've got quickly here next to me 15 cons. I'm not even joking. Here's the paper, 15 cons, and I don't have so much pros. So but in my case, I am okay with all the cons. It's really not a big train smash for me. I'm gonna keep it. I'm not gonna sell it or whatever the case is because of these cons. But if you're a different person, different to me, you might actually say, okay, no, this is not for me. So let's quickly get this video in. This video started. Okay, so the first most annoying thing about this cluster is the flickering engine light. Let me tell you guys, absolutely annoying. And it's not like it just flickers. If it was like a nice pulse of flickering, like flick, 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 it would have been fine. I wouldn't have a problem with it. But in this case, it's like on for 10 seconds and then it just flicker once, and then it's on for 20 seconds and flicker like 6 times, and then it's an inconsistent flickering, and it absolutely annoys the living hell out of me. So yeah, definitely gotta tell you that is really annoying. So the next most annoying thing for me is the fuel economy display on it, right? For example, when your normal analog car, whenever I'm driving to work, whatever the case is, I'm always trying to see if I can beat my previous record. For example, if I know if I cruise to work is 5.5 liters per 100 Ks, I will try today to get 5.4 liters per 100 K. Since I got a cluster, I can't do that anymore. It's like it's stuck at 0 liters per 100 Ks. After I've been driving for maybe, let's say, 10 minutes or something of the case, then it will only activate and start working. But there's a catch. It doesn't start from 0 liter per 100 Ks. It starts at 49.99 liter per 100 Ks. It's ridiculous. Then you have to try to bring it down, and then I get it down to like 13 liters per 100 Ks. I'm like, yeah, my previous screen told me I start off at 5.5. Well, I ended the route in 5.5 liter per 100 Ks. Now I end up in 13 liters per 100 Ks. So it's just this entire mind twist that it's not accurate at all, and it superly annoys me. So the next thing about the cluster is I noticed it straight away the first day. Like I told you guys, I'm a person who drives in auto cruise. That's it, I'm an auto cruise person. So whenever I put the car, for example, in 80 auto cruise or 70 auto cruise, the car won't be 70 or 80 auto cruise. The speed on the cluster will show me, like, let's say for example I'm auto cruising 80. Okay, so 80 auto cruise, there I go. The cluster will show me, for example, I am 78 or 79. So even when I'm driving 120 kilometers per hour auto cruise, the auto cruise is fixed, but then the speed that I'm driving is always less, like 118 or 117. And this annoys me because it feels like, dude, I put it on 120, but it's just showing me 117. And then I'm trying to think about why is it like that. So I think it's because of the navigation system. So I don't think this cluster is working on the kilometer per hour from your car. I think it works with like satellite speed. So yes, your car is doing 120 kilometers per hour, but the cluster displays you're doing 117 because it's not the GPS speed you're actually driving, or you get what I'm trying to say. So the next one, let me quickly explain to you guys that with this digital cluster, you can see your temperatures in 2 places. You can see one on the screen, like I'm not joking, physically on the LCD screen you can see it. The other one is on the plastic trimming. It's got its own temperature as well. Obviously everything I'm trying to explain to you guys, I'm trying to see if I got any photos of it and all that kind of stuff. So what I want to tell you about it is those 2 options, or well, the 2 temperature displays, completely different. Even when I start up the car, it will show me 90 degrees on the one side, but on the LCD screen it will show me it's cold, or vice versa. So it is honestly not consistent at all, and it makes it so darn irritating to know which one you look at. So obviously the LCD, the temperature display on the LCD is fine, but why put the temperature one there if it's completely different? Like, it's stupid. So the next thing is basically myself. I found like a configuration that I like. For example, I like to have my the RS runway in this. Like lately I like the RS runway to show me my speeds, my RPMs and all that kind of stuff. And then on the sides, you can basically, on the one side, you can choose whatever you want. You can have the picture of your car from the top, so if you open your door, it shows you the door's open, or you can have your distance you've driven, or your Bluetooth or whatever, and we'll get to that part just now. So you can have whatever you want. So the thing that annoys me is, for example, let's say if I look at my 0 to 100 liters per 100, 0 to 100 liters, 0 to 100 kilometers at the physical moment, not for the entire trip, for the physical moment. These roads are bad. So if I look at it not for the trip, for at the moment, it's fine, it shows it. Once I switch the car off and I switch it back on, it resets to whatever it wants. It's like, why do that? Because I found a configuration that I like, but it keeps on resetting and resetting and resetting. So that is super annoying as well. So the next question, what do I despise or don't like of this cluster? And few people commented it on my previous videos. So it's got a Bluetooth option. How cool is that? Only if it worked. For whatever reason, it doesn't work. It just, I don't know, it feels like it's incomplete. It's been made and sold incompletely. So you can get updates for it, but to get updates is difficult because no one is willing to give you updates, and there's not a lot of information about the updates. It's just like, it's difficult. Honestly, it's extremely difficult to, yeah. So there's a Bluetooth system, which would have been cool if the Bluetooth system actually connected to your MMI system, where you could have played music from your phone and all of that kind of stuff, but you can't. So the next thing is there's a music option. So this music option could be pretty darn cool. When I'm thinking about the music option, I'm thinking of whatever music is playing on my MMI, because you know on your small screen and you're on your steering wheel, you've got that option where you can like turn it and choose the music, like if you want to skip it or whatever the case is. I thought that is the music section on the cluster, and it's not. Literally, it's not. It doesn't do anything. It just makes like it's loading music, loading, but nothing actually happens. It's just useless. The music option is just useless on this cluster. The next thing that is very sad, that I was hoping was going to work, is a navigation system. So it's got a pretty cool navigation system, how you can zoom in and zoom out. Even with my RS Runaway, I can have my navigation system on this side, or even have the whole screen navigation system with just like 2 small little speeds on each side of the screen. I mean, like, that is cool, right? Navigation system doesn't work. I mean, it's like they sold it incomplete. It would have been so cool to have this entire LCD screen showing me the navigation. That would have looked so sick. It would have looked like OEM, and you know, it would have just made life so much easier. But I think the problem with it is it can't really connect to your phone. If it can connect to your phone, because I've seen how these CarPlay things work. Basically, they connect to your phone, you search on Google Maps your location, whatever you want, and then it will like display on the screen. So maybe if it did connect via Bluetooth to your screen, you could have played music on it, you could have like put your navigation in, and then you understand what I'm trying to say. But in this case, the navigation system doesn't work. It's just a black screen. So let's talk about the famous RPM delay. So when I installed it, I told you guys that there's an RPM delay on this cluster. So I've actually data logged it. I've seen it myself. When I know for a fact my car shifts at 7,000 RPMs, right? Whenever I'm driving and I do not shift manually, I just leave the car as is and I step on it, it shifts before 7,000 RPM. It shifts about 6.8, 6.7, and it's throwing me off because basically when I go to the drag track, and especially once again with the RS Runaway, you can actually, it shows you like really close in the section of where you can shift and all of that kind of stuff, because the 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 RPMs is small at the back, and the 5, 6, 7 is getting bigger, so you can get a perfect switch, a perfect shift on when you want to shift. I'll hit rate limiter, and I'm thinking about I'm 6.5, I'm just over 6.6. So it's like you have to get used to knowing when to shift, and it feels to me like now every time when I shift, I undershift. So for racing purposes, I mean, like if you want to manually shift, it's not really ideal. But if you're just gonna keep it on like automatically, it must shift automatically and all that kind of stuff, then by all means it's fine. You can leave it like it is. It will just shift whenever it wants to shift or needs to shift, which is basically 7,000 RPMs where my car is set to. So the next thing is actually pretty big, right? So on your normal analog cluster, you've got that screen there in the middle. So I'm not sure if the red screen does it, but I know the colored screen does it, where basically if you have one headlight that's popped, it will show you one headlight is popped. If you've got a fog light that's out, even with my car, my LED lights at my number plate at the back, it will show me that this one on the right hand side has popped. Nothing, absolutely nothing. So it just doesn't show it. Even like, for example, our Ford Kuga, like I've got the car display here where you can see the car from behind. So if I open the door, it will show you the door is open or whatever the case is. It will show you that your car lights is on. Here it doesn't even show you your car lights is on. It just literally feels like they just made something quickly and then just sold it, and like this is gonna take off and do great, but they didn't 100% completed it, you know? So to quickly get back to what I was trying to say. So whenever you have a headlight that popped, it doesn't show you. When you have a fog light that popped, it doesn't show you. When you have, and apparently, now we'll leave that to later. So it doesn't show that. There's something else I wanted to say and spoil the rest of the few numbers, but we'll get to it. So the next thing I've realized is, the one day I opened my driver's door, awesome stuff, opened it, and I saw, oh, the cluster, there it is, it's open, you know. Every day when I climb out of the car, I can open it and I see it, my door is open, you know. So I was busy here in the backside. I closed the door, but I never closed it properly. So then what happened is when I got in the car, I closed my door, it showed me my left rear door is open. But I was busy on the right hand side rear door. Okay, that's very weird. So I told myself, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to climb out of the car, I'm going to go to the left side of the door and close the door properly. So I climb out of the car, and as I'm walking past the car, the rear door, I see, but the rear door is the one, the right one is the one that's not closed. I was like, okay, wow, that's completely bonkers. So is it now my wiring system that's all messed up in this car? I was like, but on the color screen, it showed me that all my car doors were corresponding, but all of a sudden with this cluster, it's mixing the two doors in the back. Very confusing. So anyway, long story short, on the cluster, your right rear door is your left door and vice versa. So the next thing that most of the people are complaining about is the visual look of the cluster. People are complaining about the fonts that is different. People are complaining about the cluster itself, the plastic trimming and everything just looks horrible. So I never actually looked at any other Audi digital clusters and all that kind of stuff until I looked at the new RS3s. I just saw someone selling an RS3 and I saw, oh wow, it's got a digital cluster. The other day I sat in a B9 S4, took it down the track. It was stock standard, pulls like a train, really strong. So then what happened was I looked at the digital cluster and I just look at it in general speaking from a unknown perspective, and I was like, wow, this looks really good. I mean, like, it just felt to me like, I don't know, it felt good. The plastic trimming looks good. Everything just looks good. It's just, there's really a difference between an OEM digital cluster and then a stock, the aftermarket digital clusters. Obviously, they will never be the same, but I mean, like, there was a big difference. And once I saw that, I actually understood when everyone said, yeah, but OEM clusters looks better. I was like, I don't care about OEM clusters, it's just because I didn't know about it. So because I do racing, one of the next things I don't like about the cluster is, you know, if you press your traction button, it pops up that message is being temporarily disabled. If you hold it in, it says it's been permanently disabled. Nothing, absolutely nothing. You can see the traction light pop up, okay, but it doesn't say anything to the screen. If you hold it in, you're like, okay, I held it in for some time, but it doesn't pop up that part of saying it's been permanently disabled. So you just hold it in and it's like, okay, I hope it's permanently disabled. You don't know if it is permanently disabled. Did I hold it in long enough? Like, if someone had to climb into the car and didn't know you have to hold it in to permanently disable it, they won't get it right. They won't understand why does it keep on going off every time I'm pressing the button. So that is also a little bit kind of annoying and stupid. So if you have a B8, you've got an oil problem, right? As your oil drains, basically this hasn't happened to me yet, I cannot confirm it, but someone that also has a digital cluster told me that they hate it for the fact of this. So if you have the B8, you've got the oil problem and it keeps on eating your oil. There's no oil leaks, the engine just eating up the oil or drinking up the oil, right? So what happens is, once your oil goes low, your car will actually tell you, hey, it's time to add 1 liter of oil. You know, your engine oil is low, add 1 liter of oil. It pops up in the middle screen. Nothing. Apparently it doesn't show it at all. So you got to make sure that on your MMI system your oil level is working and you are actually following up on it and making sure that it is that it does have oil in it, or you're gonna have to get yourself a dipstick and make sure you check frequently, because that message that pops up that your oil is low, forget about it. So the cool thing about this cluster is that it actually shows you your car's voltage. Freaking awesome. I love it, you know, to see, okay, wow, yes, now literally as I'm looking at it now, it's 14.27. Alternator is charging. Nice. The road may continue, if you get what I'm trying to say. So that is a very nice thing about the digital cluster. I mean, it would have been cool if it was accurate. Yeah. No comment, right? So why I'm saying it's not accurate is when I switch my car off, just turn the ignition on, my cluster will show me that I'm having like 11.3 volts. Now you guys need to know 11.3 volts, there's a possibility it will not start your car. The voltage is just too low. So it just confuses you that you don't know if your battery is charged or not. The one day literally I saw it's showing 11.3 volts. I went to get my voltmeter just to find out it's 11.9 volts. And now I'm saying to myself, okay, so does that mean when it shows 14.27, I'm actually like 15 volts? Because now you add that missing ones you added with, and now you're like, am I having enough volts? I'm not sure. So it just, the measurement is completely wrong. So whenever I look at it, I'm saying, okay, 14.29 at this moment. I'm just taking in consideration now that my alternator is charging. It's not the correct numbers, but it is charging. That's all that matters. So it is not 100% accurate. That sucks. I mean, like, how could you not get it 100% accurate? So let's talk about the next problem, which is problem number 16. So the buttons on the car to communicate with the digital cluster is absolutely horrible. It is slow. For example, let's say I want to go to a different screen, or I want to go to a different slide or see different information. Every time like you scroll up or click a button or whatever the case is, it responds very slow. It is super annoying. So for example, you know, okay, I've got to click 3 times to get to this display. If you quickly tap 3 times, it might only act like move once or move twice. It doesn't actually move 3 times, which is just so stupid. I think the reason for it is that it's not widely connected to the cluster, to the display. I think it's connected by Bluetooth or something like that, like an indirect kind of way to communicate with the cluster. So because remember, I had those small little things I had to tap in with the CAN bus wires behind my aircon panel. So then I think whenever you want to press a button, it sends it through the system, then through that thing, and then it communicates with the car, and then it does it. So there's a bit of a hiccup when it comes to that. It's not 100% accurate, 100% smooth, and 100% great. So the last thing I want to tell you guys, so basically it was only 15 cons. So the last thing I want to tell you guys a little bit about it is, now I'm at 17 though. So I feel like, and I think that the standard cluster there with the analogs and all those kind of things, I feel that the standard one showed you actually more information. So that whole screen that you have to put to join this screen, which it didn't, right? It didn't communicate with this at all. So you lost so much information on it. For example, when your aircon is on, it will show you, okay, now you're using more fuel. Or there was like, you can put the lap timer on, you can put your engine temperature, your engine oil temperature, you can put it on it with VCDS and all those kind of things, you know. Now what happens is you lost all of that info because you couldn't put it into the cluster. Maybe with the red screen you can, but with the color screen you couldn't put it in this cluster. So there's a lot of information that you're actually losing. And it feels to me like all the information that it presented it, like for example, the pop lights, the add 1 liter of oil, the everything you can think of, like, okay, now there's number plate light, and now you're using your more fuel, or all of that information just feels kind of busted to me, right? Like you just lost everything that screen displays to you. So that is one massive con. That I have to say, that's one thing that made me thought I'm gonna actually go and put the old analog one back, was because of that information that I lost. So yes, okay, now let's quickly talk about the pros, the famous good looking pros of this cluster. It looks good and that's it. I'm not even kidding you guys. I'm not lying. It just looks good. It gives you a different feel of having different analogs, having different RPMs and speed limiter stuffies and what you want to call it. See how fast you can go. It looks good visually. Even my one friend the other day, we are friends now, we weren't at the time, I didn't know, first time I met him at the raceway, he also has an Audi A4 B8, and he's like, I said, hey, let's go, I also have an A4, let's go against each other. And then what happened was, while he was standing next to me, he saw my cluster was different. He like opened his window, like, dude, what's going on with your cluster? That looks sick, you know? So I think it's like the bragging that comes with it. Wow, I've got a digital cluster. I think that is freaking sick. You know, like I love that. I love it that it's a bit different. One of my other friends is like, doesn't like it. Just absolutely doesn't. Maybe he's jealous. I don't know. But he absolutely likes it, you know? So, he doesn't like it at all. So I just think, like, if you are someone that just trying to be a bit different, have something else, and want it to be more modern in that case, I honestly think that the digital cluster is very nice. I can't give you guys a list like I did of the cons and say, this is why you must buy it. I think you have to weigh the cons and see if it's still a pro for you to actually go and buy it. If it is worth looking at a little bit more modern, if it is worth having a digital and all of that kind of stuff. What a big video. Well, it feels like, because I've been driving around a lot. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about it, if it's something that you will buy or not. Anyway guys, this is me. I'm home now. Peace out.